Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Press Extra Revolution. This is the Press Extra Revolution podcast, episode 4, which is set to release Friday, July 9th, 2021. My name is Michaeknipp, and I am here with my brother,
Marc. What's up?
And the difference between this episode and prior episodes is we are missing two people. Andrew and Alan are both taking much needed vacations. They needed a break from us specifically.
You gotta cut out the wheat from the chaff, dude. And we got rid of them.
Well, that's not true. But they will be back. They are having vacations. We wish them the best. But we're gonna go ahead and continue because how could you kill a podcast after 3 episodes? We couldn't take a break this early.
My wife was asking. She's like, "Who is it this week?" I was like, "Oh, it's just me and Michael." She's like, "Why not just skip it?" I was like, "Consistency is important."
Dude, so many people are like, "Who are you going to get to do the podcast with you?" And I'm like, well, first of all, I've made many podcasts with my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've done a lot.
Secondly, do you not think that we're very interesting? Like, do you not think that we could potentially have a podcast worth listening to? I found that very offensive, frankly.
A big criticism people have also always had of us together, especially, is just that we don't talk enough. We're not going to be able to fill a podcast time. We're not going to be able to, we just can't do it.
An actual complaint that we get a lot is people can't tell the difference between our voices, and I'm curious if that will pop up this time. Okay, so mostly we start the show off with just what we've been playing. How has your Dead Cells game been going? You plugging along?
Dude, Dead Cells is so frustrating right now because I'm
okay. So we've talked about this before, just in case you haven't
right.
caught up.
This could be
Dead Cells is a game. It's a roguelike thing that Marc's been playing on his Switch. Last week you made it to the final boss.
Yeah.
Have you been back to the final boss?
I've not been back to the final boss since.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes.
I'm to the point now. I'm so good at so you go through 2 worlds. So there's the starter world, and then you find 2 exits, and then your first boss. I'm so good at that part of the game, dude. I'm so good at it. It's borderline not even fun to play right now. Like, because I'm like, okay, cool. And then
is there no skips or ways to push through there?
No, dude. Not that I found, at least.
Yeah.
So I do it, and then I beat the first boss, and dude, I at this point have like found a build and found a way to kind of get roughly my build.
Yeah.
Most every round.
Nice.
And like it is to the point now when the first boss is so easy because I have so much like AoE effects on the ground that
lives in the fire.
Because it's a Switch, it starts to chunk so bad, but it's not like skipping frames. So I feel like I have like literally 2 full seconds with this like telegraphs. I'm like, dude, it's so like I'm rolling through it. It's easy, freaking piece of cake. And then the difficulty from that first boss to the next, like there are regular enemies that do more damage than that boss on the other side. And I'm just like, dude.
Is it a 4-boss situation that we're talking about?
Yeah, well, I've only been the first time. I think it's 3. Because there's this boss, and then I think what happens is you fight the second boss, and you almost kill him, and he's like, I'm not good enough, and he dips out, and then you play through a bunch more game, and then you fight that guy again, and it's the last boss. But,
okay. It could be a multi-path situation, potentially, even.
Yeah, because I think when I bought it, I think it came with some of the DLC, but not all of it. Because I can find like other branches that it's like, oh, you can't actually go here. You don't have DLC.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm so consistent into getting through the first boss, and I can feel myself slowly but surely. I'm not even consistent to getting to the second boss. I'm pretty consistently.
You can't even get there all the time.
No, I can make it. I can get there all the time. Then the one after that is called like the clock tower, and the clock tower, I'm pretty consistently making it there, and then I die at the clock tower. And right now is what's going on.
I think I may have made it there before when I played. And it's pretty crazy because there's a lot of places where you can fall off the edge, and there's a lot of crazy enemies.
It's tough, dude. But I don't know, we're getting there. I'm learning a lot of the later parts of the game are you got to take your time to think more. Like there's so many easy enemies.
Can you like pre-plan, like you see the room ahead of time and then you
like a little bit, or like, okay, maybe this guy has like a pretty good ranged attack, so like maybe I should wait till I can get close. Like one of my main weapons that I keep finding now is like an impaler, just a long spear, and it's like, okay, I'll wait a beat. And it does like double damage if you can get the enemy up against the wall. So it's like, okay, I'll wait a second before I jump in there so I can get him up against the wall right away. Like just little stuff like that. And it's a little bit of just like, hold on. okay, I have like a rough game plan, or I'm waiting on the enemies to align in a certain way to where like I'll have like a buzzsaw thing I throw out too. It's like, oh, let's let them get close enough to where by the time I aggro them, they'll both be in the buzzsaws and stuff. So we're getting there, but I started playing a different game today.
Oh, what was that?
You and Andrew talking on the 4th. I was like, oh, I think I own that game and I just never played it. I put Sleeping Dogs in for the first time.
Oh, nice. Sleep on PC or
360.
Okay.
Dude.
Nice.
First of all, I forget that the 360 looks bad.
It does.
It looks
unfortunately.
Rough.
It's been a minute.
I literally just started playing today. I just made it through the tutorial. Do you get to drive cars at some point in that game?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I figured you did, but I tried to steal one instantly and it wouldn't let me. I was like, oh, maybe I gotta wait.
You are a cop, so.
Yeah, but I also I threw a few people off of a roof. They're dead.
Well,
they're dead. I killed them.
Yeah. Well.
But I played like the tutorial.
You're an undercover cop in Hong Kong in the midst of triad activity.
And you
That's
have a
the storyline
past with the triad, it sounds like.
Yeah, Sleeping Dogs is a game that I will bring up as many times as possible because I absolutely love that game. It's one of my favorite open world games. The story is amazing. Even in the moments of there are moments in the story where it really slows down and forces you to have some just character development interaction time right before some major stuff happens. And it's a sweet game. I don't want to say it's a killer game as a pun because yeah, you do kill a lot of people in that game.
But you're a cop, so you don't kill them.
It's really fun, and it has a unique. Well, no, you totally mark those fools. Like you're undercover cop working for a triad, and so you have to, of course, work your way up, which does include killing people. It's got a unique flair because it's like that Hong Kong thing. I love it, dude. I love it so much.
It looks like there's gonna be I think this is in like a lot of games. I just haven't played enough of them. I think there's gonna be also some sort of leveling up system that comes along with like. This is a thing a cop would do. This is a thing a thug or a gangster would do. Yep. And I don't know the consequences of those yet, but I'm interested to find that out.
There's progression systems on both sides. There's different progression systems for different activities that you can do. And then also it's just it's this travesty of a thing where it was going to originally be a Yakuza game, I want to say, and then it got remade into this original IP. And it's one of those just extremely sad situations where I want to say it sold quite well, but they were banking on it selling way better.
Very good.
And it, I think they tried to making it an MMO. There was another game. It wasn't an MMO, but it was kind of playing like an MMO, but without the cool parts of an MMO. And I want to say that it failed because it just wasn't great. And they killed the franchise. And it's one of the saddest things ever because I think that game is way better than the amount of attention that it ended up getting overall. So I'm glad that you're playing it. I'd love to hear your continued progress there.
Yeah, and I think there will be enough of a story that Danny won't mind me playing and watching along. So
there's a decent amount of fighting, but yeah, it's a good story.
Dude, I can't get the timing down for some of those counters, dude. They keep kicking my butt.
It gets when you get used to it. The combat in the game is like decisively gruesome and brutal. Like you're just like breaking ankles and elbows and whatnot. It's fairly violent. Like it's like you're doing crazy stuff, kind of like in the Batman. It's very much like the derivative of a Batman Arkham Asylum combat, but it's not Batman, and having not Batman around and having it just be kind of regular people makes it seem like just
grodier,
way more grody. Like it's got the grody factor up to 10, especially because like you can evolve melee weapons and like knives and environmental kill. It's just brutal.
I threw a guy down a air conditioning vent.
Yeah, it gets real gnarly in like a Sam Fisher, a Splinter Cell Conviction kind of brutal.
Oh yeah, dude, when you push that guy's face in the paper shredder, it's a rough time.
Or just on the stove burner.
Or the sound effect of when he crushes their Adam's apple. Like, ugh. Yeah. Like how?
Splinter Cell Conviction's a dark game.
Who figured that sound out? Like, who was like, what would that sound like? Maybe like this. Like, man.
How would you like to be that Foley guy?
Oh.
He has the best job.
Dude, it's a rough noise.
Nice. So you are planning on pushing through that then?
Yes.
I have just been sort of plugging along on some of the games that I have been playing. So I played some more Jedi Fallen Order. Not a ton. I beat enough of the Kashyyyk level to find out that this is going to be one of those games where you go back and forth between planets.
Yeah.
Because I got to a point in Kashyyyk where they're like, hey, we know you came here looking for a thing, and we definitely will find it for you. I promise we will find it for you, but you will have to come back later. And then you have to go back to a planet that you already went to. So I wasn't excited about that, but you know, what are you going to do? You just got to deal with the game on its own terms. So I'm going to go back to the planet that I really enjoyed the first time that I talked about in episode 2 of this podcast, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to be playing some more Fallen Order as I can. I played a lot more Mario Golf, mostly in regular, just standard golf format, though I did play a lot more Battle Golf.
Playing with the family or your
Battle Golf is only 2-player local, so I played with Charlie and Molly, which they really don't know how to play Battle Golf. The problem with Battle Golf is that the computer also is not very good at Battle Golf. So the whole point of Battle Golf is that 4 players are all playing at the same time. You have your special abilities, which are relegated to characters. There's also items on the field. There are 9 holes available to you to hit the ball into, and it's a race to see who can hit the ball into 3 holes first. The problem is you can just pick what holes you go to, and the computers just like to hit at the same holes, and you could just not. And then you're uncontested. And then, like, I don't know how many times we played this in one day, especially. There was a day where we were just playing over and over and over. And I would hit the ball to the hole nobody was hitting at. And then I would hit the ball to the next hole, which was near nobody. And then I hit the ball to the third hole, which was near nobody. And every once in a while, somebody would randomly come to the hole that was at. But also, I would just hit it in 3 holes in like 2 minutes and the game would be over. And I won every time. And it was like, there's only one course in battle mode. If there were 4 players that were humans,
yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
sure
say,
it could be a
did
little
you not
different.
do that?
But the way that the game is built is Battle Golf is just, they added Battle Golf and they added Speed Golf, which is essentially the Battle Golf rules on regular courses.
Is Speed Golf 4-player?
Well, it's still only 2-player per console. So if you have 2 consoles, you can play 4-player. But
Weird.
It's still only 2 players.
Is
Yeah,
is it that tough of a game to run that they can't?
Well, it is for Nintendo, which we'll get to that in the news. There's one news story I want to talk about this week.
Okay.
But Nintendo does the Nintendo thing where they're like, hey, this is Mario Golf. They tease a feature like Speed Golf or Battle Golf. They barely put any thought or effort into it. And then, which like I said, I talked about this last week on last week's episode. It reminds me of 300-foot robot golf, but 300-foot robot golf was like super fun because of the Battle Golf mode. It sucked at regular golf. Mario Golf is fine at regular golf. It's completely adequate. There's like 8 courses, which I've played all of now. I have not played the campaign. I haven't touched the campaign yet. Maybe the campaign is awesome.
Do you want to? Yeah. Or did you just?
Do I want to? Oh, heck yeah, dude. The truth of the matter is,
I forget the fact that you actually like this game.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, I just play golf games to play golf games. I love them no matter what. So of course I want to play the campaign mode.
Have you ever been golfing?
I've golfed one time in my life. I worked at a golf course for 2 summers.
Yeah.
And I could have played 18 holes for $4, but I never did.
I went to a driving range one time and pulled a muscle in my chest, which means I was doing it wrong.
This is diverting back to Mario Golf for a second. I was just reminded by another thing that exists in the game, but virtually has no purpose. Every character has a dedicated special attack or special hit, special drive, whatever. But the amount of times that it actually is relevant, you can use it in regular golf even. It allows you to hit the ball about 20 yards further than normal. Presumably, the main feature of these special hits is that each character it can do a special effect. Like if you hit an opponent's ball or get somewhere near an opponent's ball, it will affect their next shot or it'll knock their ball out of the way. I don't know how much you play golf, my dude, but you're not. It's not like you're hitting the ball next to each other constantly, and you can only use this move every so often. So it's just like, why are these elements in the game?
So I think it's like,
instead of just having it be golf. It's so weird.
I don't know. Maybe like a last minute putting. Everybody's on the.
You can't use it when you putt.
Oh, never mind then.
It's just so weird.
Yeah,
it's such a weird oddball choice where they're like, let's just add a bunch of stuff, but you barely ever use it. It's such a weird, minuscule use case scenario. Maybe you'll do more of it in the campaign.
Well, you know, like that feeling when like a random thing you kind of forgot about comes in like clutch when you're like playing a game or something. Maybe they wanted to build in like they're like we can't make you forget about it, but if we make it happen so infrequently, then like when it actually helps you, you're like, oh, what?
both of us are really bad sports boys, but it kind of reminds me of baseball, where I feel like there's like these secret baseball rules that basically never are relevant, except for like once in every 999 games. To be like, the thing happened, you win. And you're like, what the crap are you talking about? Like, there's a special baseball rule where when this happens, and it's this inning, and this happens, this baseball rules is you win. You're like, what? I don't understand. It's like you got the snitch.
It's like our house rule of if you poop your pants during a board game, you win.
Yeah,
like that. But it's just like nobody else knows that rule. I don't know why we would we wouldn't go to Andrew's house and play a board game there and think that rule would work.
That's the way Mario Golf is. It's like there's all these secret things that are just like,
there's a bunch of house rules to Mario Golf.
It kind of is like that, because otherwise it's just a very basic arcade golf game. So
is it at least a good arcade golf game, or is it just pretty by the numbers?
It's a competent arcade golf game. I have played better arcade golf games quite a few times. I play a lot of golf games on my phone too, as well as just on different consoles. Golf Story is a great arcade golf game. That's an indie golf game on the Switch.
How's the story? Maybe we should tell Alan about it.
The Golf Story? It's pretty stupid.
Oh, never mind.
It's just, I want to be the very best, but it's very bare bones. Oh, the last thing I was going to mention is that my kids played Minecraft for the first time kind of by themselves. I ended up jumping in.
Do they get scared?
Because it was very, yeah, but we're playing peaceful.
Oh, never. Why? How are they scared then?
Well, Charles thought the donkeys were bad guys at one point. He was in a cave and there were donkeys outside. The problem that we have with Minecraft is I'm trying to teach my children first-person controls. Do you remember first-person controls being a hurdle that you had to overcome?
No, but I feel like it was because I don't have memory before I feel like my earliest memories I was like we were about to move out of base housing. Like,
okay.
I feel like I was pretty almost 7 or 8 before I have good memories.
I am convinced that the majority of children today that grow up around games will just kind of learn first-person controls as they learn controls in general. Yeah,
I think that I might have been like that for me.
And that's what I'm thinking. You are the age at the beginning of this. I remember being a gamer who played games on a daily basis, and then 2-stick controls came out because I wasn't a PC gamer back then. And I remember being a competent gamer who all of a sudden has this first-person controller, and I just had to learn it as someone that already played games. Whereas I think that gamers growing up today will just know how to control them.
Yeah, because we went straight from the 64 to the PS2, and all of a sudden we had Medal of Honor.
Well, I had friends that I played them at their houses. You weren't allowed to because you were a small child and a baby. But I remember having to learn first-person controls with Time Crisis. No, is it Time Crisis? No, Time Splitters. Zero? Time Splitters 2, I had to learn controls for first person, and it was very hard. And I was talking about that because that's one of the biggest hurdles when you're playing games with someone that doesn't normally play video games. I feel like that is a hard thing to teach them. Like Amanda will play a lot of games with me, but handing someone first-person controls for the first time, the dual-stick analog controls, is very difficult because it's very nonsensical.
Yeah, and
in some ways,
it's just something we take for granted from playing.
Yeah, which games. I love to find those things. That's why I love playing games with Amanda. I love finding things that we've internalized and gotten used to over time, and then handing the controller to someone who hasn't played games forever and be like, "We are weird how this has become part of our culture, and we do not understand. Like we take for granted how we got here." I also realized just today that Nintendo's Pro controllers to the Nintendo Switch, the controls are just completely backwards for no reason. Every button is flipped. The A and B button are flipped, and the X and Y button are both flipped. I knew the X and Y buttons were. I didn't make the connection that the A and B buttons were until just this week, and it made me very mad, and unreasonably so.
What's more frustrating is Nintendo also offers less options to reformat in games than any other company.
Less options for control changing? Yeah.
So if you want to flip it to how you're used to playing, you can't. So that's fun.
Yeah. So we're playing Minecraft, and our main hurdle in Minecraft is
how do you guys play? All on the Switch? Can you play multiple player on the Switch?
No, we're playing on the Xbox Series X. Okay. We're playing local co-op, and it just so happens that the world we got spawned to us is seeded with lots of chasms, and so
I believe
You know,
the in-game is called Ravine, but okay.
okay, I've done a significant amount of hole patching, and my children continue to find new deep pits to fall into and die, while I'm just trying to build a house and like make a living or whatever.
Yeah, me and Danny haven't played in a while. We probably will, I don't know. We're actually super busy this week.
Let's talk about the one piece of major news that I want to talk about this week. Have you heard about the new Switch? Have you heard about all the rumors that have been going around since the original Switch was released back in, who the frick knows when that thing was released, that there was going to be a Switch Pro someday?
Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember that, but I didn't. Is it real?
They have officially announced that there is a new Switch coming down the pipeline, but it is the most Nintendo thing that I've ever seen. Like, for people that don't know, Nintendo is a company that exists in theory to be a video game company that tangentially or on purpose competes with Sony and Microsoft. But they are so bold that they refuse to compete on normal terms. So they're like, yeah. Oh, you have fancy hardware? We will make a tablet that is not very powerful. Yeah. You want to run your games in 4K? We're going to run our games in 720 locally on the Switch. And so Nintendo does their things their own way. They make games their own way. And like the Mario Golf things I was alluding to earlier, I feel like every single Nintendo game I could come up with something just dumb that they do because they refuse to compete on other people's terms. Like the way they do online, they still do friend codes. The way they share levels in games where you create levels is the most archaic system I've ever seen in my life. It's like they do not understand that technology has advanced beyond 2006. The new Switch is an OLED 720p screen. It is still essentially the same size. It's going to work with all the previous docks. The dock now comes with an Ethernet port.
Sweet. Danny broke her. So we had to buy one of the extra ones so she could actually update her Animal Crossing. So
okay. So the dock comes with an Ethernet port.
One of those new docks.
The screen is OLED, but still 720p, which is my favorite thing ever. And
you know this thing that's bigger than your phone, and your phone screen's 4K by now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. This one isn't. Cool.
It's 720 though. You probably can definitely count the pixels very easily, especially with an OLED screen. Well, but it is 720.
That could help speedrunners.
Yeah, true. Also, it comes with 64 gig of local hard drive storage now instead of 32. That which may not be very big, and it will maybe carry one more game than the previous model. Yep. It is also $100 more expensive than the original. Why does this product exist? I really have no idea. It's making a lot of people mad because, of course, the Switch Pro rumors were like, this was going to be 4K, it's going to be native 1080, it's going to do all these special fancy things.
It's going to fix my frame rate issues in Dead Cells.
Oh, I forgot. It also has a new kickstand that actually looks half decent.
Oh, that?
Because the original kickstand for the Nintendo Switch is the most flimsy, forgettable piece of crap I've ever seen in my life. It's like, I think you would have better luck trying to get the kickstand on a Switch, like trying to get your Switch to stand up straight if you just stuck some toothpicks in the screw holes in the back and then set them on the table.
It is, as somebody who has played multiplayer on the actual Switch, not on a TV, it is more useful to find a thing just to lean your Switch up against than to try to use that. Just on a flat table, be like, it's more sturdy. Just be like, I'm just going to prop this up against this book.
It's garbage. But the fact that this product exists is it makes me a little happy. Everyone else is mad. It makes me happy because it shows me that Nintendo believes in their core value of just making buck wild decisions for the sake of being different. They're unpredictable. The only thing predictable is their unpredictability in how weird decisions they can make. But they're unlike Sony. They don't struggle for cash. They got tons of money. People will always buy their systems.
They make decisions, dude.
This OLED version of the Switch is we removed the headphone jack from your iPhone because we're brave.
It's what's the saying? History favors the bold. Mm-hmm. That's Nintendo's strategy with video games.
And Nintendo continues to kill us. Switch has sold a lot of copies. Zelda and Mario Kart have sold a lot of copies. Heck, they haven't even made a new Mario Kart in so long because they re-released the old one.
By any means, like, as much as I like to make fun of Nintendo, it's very easy, it's very fun. I play my Switch more than any other console in recent years. Like,
Yeah,
I play my Switch all the time. It's just the idea that I can be hanging out with Danny and she wants to watch The Office, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I can play some Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
like, yeah. Gosh dang it.
All right. Something I kind of wanted to do on the show is I wanted to, because people don't know that I have a book channel. People don't know that Alan has a book channel. Maybe people are finding this channel just because we're talking about video games. I wanted to give us a little bit of a crash course on our history with video games on an individual level. So this episode, we could talk about you and me. Other episodes, we could talk about Alan and Andrew. And I think it would be nice for people to know some of our history. So, dude, so you say you don't remember that much. What is kind of your experience when you were exposed to games? How did you come to like games? Was it just because you had an older brother that essentially forced it upon you?
Yes and no. Like, if I had to be honest, the first game, like, I think I remember playing is that stupid monster truck game for the 64.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, so we played that because it was simple enough. Like, it was, like, literally, it was so janky. But, like, it was like, okay, go, back up, and that was pretty much it. Like, steer. I remember wanting to play Ocarina of Time and not being able to figure it out. So, like, I watched you play Ocarina of Time, and that just kind of became my standard. If the game was too hard, I was like, I'll just watch Michael play it later. And then, like, Diddy Kong Racing was, like, one of the only games that was, like, I think pretty good that, like, I was actually able to play. And we played that for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the first exciting thing that happened with video games in our house in a long time was we got a PS2. And do you remember the game we got with our PS2?
With Treasure Planet?
That's not the game. The game I got with our PS2.
No.
The live-action Looney Tunes video game adaptation.
It was the one with Brendan Fraser, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I remember being a mindless zombie kid that liked to play video games. And even then, I remember not playing that game because it was garbage.
I don't remember a single moment of gameplay from that game. Should we just sell it or what? At one point, I sold it to At one point, I sold it to GameStop.
Dude, I don't know anything about it really. Like I remember, not knowing what to do.
I don't remember a single moment of gameplay from that game. I remember playing Treasure Planet.
I remember running away from Speedy Gonzales, I think, at one point.
I remember playing soccer because we got a soccer game.
I don't remember the soccer game at all. I remember you played Treasure Planet, and I couldn't figure that out either.
It was weird.
Was it a bad game,
great.
Or was it good?
It wasn't great. It was kind of like one of those late collectathon, kind of reminiscent of like a Banjo and Kazooie or Super Mario 64, but like the worst, laziest iteration.
And then from there, the only game I remember us getting that was like kind of a game changer for a long time was Medal of Honor Rising Sun.
Yeah, man, that was the first T-rated game I think I ever had.
We played the mess out of that game, dude.
Medal of Honor Rising Sun was our GoldenEye. It was our Halo, essentially. It was because it was the only shooter we were allowed to play. We weren't allowed to play Halo.
Why was that?
We weren't allowed to play GoldenEye.
Was there like no swearing or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, wait. It was because we had friends that had it, and my mom trusted the friends, so we were allowed to buy Rising Sun. Rising Sun is, I will say, it is one of the hardest shooters to go back to I've ever played. It doesn't
feel good. It doesn't feel that good, dude.
It existed before what I call the shooter singularity, which is like around the time of Halo 3, Call of Duty. It really, like by the time we got to Halo 3 and Modern Warfare, by the time we hit the singularity, all shooters started feeling good. At least like moderately good, and they started controlling similar ways. All of them became competent enough to feel okay to play.
It didn't feel clunky entirely.
Oh yes, like Medal of Honor Rising Sun feels awful to play. Mm-hmm. It was one of the early console shooters that actually had 2 sticks, as opposed to like GoldenEye was a 1-stick game. Perfect Dark was a 1-stick game.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. We had fun with it.
It was silly,
but it was more the game we brought to it. It was very silly. It was very silly. A lot of silly things in that game.
Do you remember how the animation for melee attacks?
I mean, didn't you just like kind of hit like? I'm mostly thinking of the well rod, but there was also there was no frames? Was it just like an instant?
It was like
hit?
No frame, yeah. And then like if you had the rocket launcher, it was literally just went like you like kind of like wiggled the gun at him, dude.
Yeah, you just kind of like dinked him,
dude. fun. Like remembering that game is so fun, and I don't want to play it anymore. Like I don't ever want to go back and play that because I'm scared it'll be like bad. And I'm like, oh, gross.
Alan mentioned like loving Time Splitters when he was growing up because it still had bots. That was a game that had bots, and that was we basically would team up against armies of bots and then play. I mean, we barely ever played the campaign of that game. We mostly just killed bots a lot.
I don't know if I beat it. It's a World War II game, right?
Yeah, I have multiple times, but yeah, we killed so many bots in that game.
You know what I do remember being as a kid, especially as a kid before you get like a job, like where you can make money and do stuff. The things you're willing to put up with in a game, dude.
Dude, for sure.
What Mario Party did we play? The minigame version where you could do 2 people on one controller. So that's
the GameCube version. The GameCube
Mario Party. We would play 8-player Mario Party.
Mm-hmm.
Mini games constantly.
Yeah.
Like we'd have big church events and be like, well, we're going to play our Mario Party mini game.
We're going to play 8-player Mario Party. We have to share a controller with somebody. And of course, no one knows any girls, so it's just us dudes playing together.
Dude,
huddled real close.
Sucks so bad. Like I remember thinking like I can't fathom like doing that now and be like, this is really fun. We should like convince all of our friends to come do this with us.
Dude, I'm just convinced that children. I live with this split brain where I think that children are simultaneously smarter than we give them credit for, but also because they have no money, they're just sometimes willing to put up with absolute trash. Like the games that I put hours into just because it was like, well, I bought this game or I was given this game and it's all I have, so I might as well beat it. Like, oh, dude, I played this Inspector Gadget game for the Game Boy Advanced.
Dude, I've played that game, dude. I don't know.
It was garbage.
I've made it. I think it's like the second level, and I don't know what to do. And I still it was like a game that I played not super recently, but like right before you moved out, probably. And I was like, I'm probably just a dumb kid. I can probably figure it out now. I got to the same spot. I was like, I don't know what to do.
I went when I forgot the real Christmas present I was going to buy you one year. We went out of town for Christmas. And I bought you the Kung Fu Panda game. I beat that game in a weekend because there was a PBS marathon of the Anne of Green Gables movies. And while everyone was watching Anne of Green Gables, I beat Kung Fu Panda on the DS.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say it was our grandpa watching How to Get a Boyfriend
Griffith or Matlock. Or dude, there was a Lord of the Rings RPG. This was before Warner Brothers. For some reason, there was this. I don't know if people remember this. This is the weird licensing times. Warner Brothers had the licensing rights for Lord of the Rings video games only for the Two Towers and Return of the King and original games. They did not have the licensing for the Fellowship of the Ring or the Hobbit.
Okay.
So
cool.
You had do you remember the Hobbit game you used to have that was made by a different company?
Oh, dude, yeah.
It was like a third-person platformer, kind of.
Did we ever beat it? We never beat it, did we?
No.
Did that game suck, or were we bad?
It sucked.
Okay, I remember...
Well, I don't know if it sucked as bad as some games back then, but it wasn't great.
I remember also, like, the load times in that game.
There was a full, I want to say it was 10 to 12 minute load for this one level.
Yeah. The load times for that... Like, I remember, like,
it was impressive.
Being like, I don't... Like, it'd be like, we're only allowed to play video games for half an hour, dude. Like, this is half the time. Half the time was loading the stupid game. Like,
I remember specifically being the arbiter for your time on that game with Mom be like, do not start his timer until he's playing the game. Yeah, it just doesn't even count.
It's wild.
There was a Game Boy Advance game. I think it was made by the same company, but it was a Game Boy Advance game with the Fellowship of the Ring. It was an awesome idea. It played JRPG style, like with turn-based combat. And
I remember we played. Yeah,
the game had a known bug where the majority of copies, some copies, you could beat the whole game, but most copies, when you got to the Balrog scene, it would freeze and crash, and you could never get past that scene.
We could get past it, couldn't we?
No,
we couldn't.
I still played it with 4 different saves up to the Balrog scene. Just because I thought the game was rad. I thought maybe we could power through it sometime. I still beat it up to that point 4 times.
I could have sworn we beat it. I don't.
No, I mean, I counted that as beating it because my copy wouldn't go farther than that.
This is as far as I can get, so this is it. I beat my copy.
Yeah, exactly. No, dude, kids play stupid games, dude.
Yeah. So the first game I remember, like, myself being like, oh, I want to play this game. was probably like a Lego game.
Oh,
like
dude.
Lego Star Wars.
You're one of those people, huh?
Yeah, dude. I played like Lego Star Wars for the GameCube, and I remember being mad because I got Lego Star Wars 2 for the PS2, and being like, dude, this looks so unprofessional. They're different. Like, it's a smaller case. The Lego games were the first games I remember being like, I'm going to play this on my own. And then, like, right around the time that I was beating those, I feel like was around the time you were convincing Mom and Dad to let you play Diablo. Shortly after Diablo, I feel like we got... What Warcraft did we play? 3?
Well, yeah, I played 2 as well, but that was before you were playing games.
So, like, so I feel like right around that time, I went straight from beating, like, the Star Wars Lego 2 to, like, me, you, and Dad working our way through Diablo 2 on local co-op.
Yeah. Do you remember the Kingdom Hearts days where we were playing Kingdom Hearts?
I played a lot of Kingdom Hearts, actually. Yeah, I don't know where I'm fuzzy on timeline. Where would Kingdom Hearts would have been before Star Wars Lego, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe at the same time.
The first one probably would have been before that. Because I played Kingdom Hearts. I never beat the first one. I beat the second one.
Kingdom Hearts was a very, like... I felt like it was the first game that I played. I don't even know how to describe my first month with Kingdom Hearts, but it was like a game changer for me. Like, all that bullcrap emo stuff at the beginning, I ate it up. And when I was like, you're making choices that change your stats at the beginning, I thought that was so freaking cool.
And I remember, like, Kingdom Hearts is one of the most nostalgic games for... We talked about this game, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So much. Like, for a game that looking back on now, especially as they keep adding more to the game, and it's like, this is freaking Calvin Ball, dude. Like, this sucks. As far as, like, story goes, I don't know if it does 3 play well?
No. It plays like absolute garbage. One plays, the remake of 1 plays significantly better than 3.
Tight. That's what you want. Kingdom Hearts mattered. I remember how much this game mattered to us.
It felt like it was a game with gravity. Like, we played some dumb games, and then we played Kingdom Hearts. It was a serious game. Because it was like a full-on RPG, dude. It was long. It had a story. There were choices that you could...
It was voice acted, dude?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, it was voice acted by, like, important people, dude.
Osment.
Like, freaking Haley Joel Osment was in it. Freaking Ren Stevens did a voice in it. Like, it was serious business.
Jesse McCartney's in 2?
He was in 2. Like... dude, and it played. We got to play through movies that we watched as kids. Kingdom Hearts was a big deal for me as a gamer moment growing up.
Kingdom Hearts mattered. And, like, do you remember the first time you made it to, like, Halloween Town and you looked different and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Dude.
It's pretty cool. Oh, dude, I had the strategy guide for that game. And, like, just, like, looking through the art of those pages, and the story was complex, but, like, kind of understandable at that point. It was before it had fully gone off the rails. I mean, it was still Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts going Kingdom Hearts, but it was like almost understandable during the first game.
Like, it felt like the stuff you didn't understand, you were supposed to not understand, you would be able to through later games.
Kingdom Hearts was the first game where we watched like machinima, like people making Flash movies, because there was like the Kingdom Hearts it was called Kingdom Hearts Chronicles. Just like it was like Charlie the Unicorn style, just fans making dumb movies about Kingdom Hearts, dude. What a freaking weird.
It mattered so much to us, dude. Mm-hmm. Which is so funny now. Kingdom Hearts is so fun to make fun of, dude.
Somebody requested that we do a Kingdom Hearts focused episode sometime in the future. That would be hilarious to do.
I would borrow. Does Dad still have a PS2?
Yeah, probably.
I would borrow Dad's PS2 and play Kingdom Hearts.
Why don't you play a real version? They've upgraded it so many. Like, you can play like on your PS4.
I have to buy it.
I'll let you borrow it, dude. I own them all.
I'll borrow your new.
Dude, I own every Kingdom Hearts, and I own many of them multiple times.
Dude, I got 365 Days Over 2 or whatever on the DS, dude. I remember thinking that game was so cool because it was the only DS game I had that wasn't like a platformer.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I can like fight stuff, dude, and it wasn't freaking Chain of Memories. So I didn't have to. I didn't have to be like, how do I don't know how to I don't know how to make a card deck. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Just constantly confused by dude. Chain of Memories confused the crap out of me, dude.
I want to hear from your mouth what it was like becoming the Minecraft generation. Like, you picked up Minecraft when it was still alpha, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
you're the stereotypical. you're like this. Yeah, I think I told Dad about it because it was like gaining traction. I didn't care too much. I mean, I never got into Minecraft the way that you did.
Yeah.
I love Minecraft. I'm not going to disparage it by any means. But I never was like the Minecraft person the way that like you and your friend group got into Minecraft.
Dude, well, it was like, it's Legos for our generation. Like, that's the best way. Like, how many of your friends, like, just tubs and tubs of Legos? Like, I got a ton of your Legos, like, that we ended up giving away because I didn't play with them. Like, it was a game that was just old. Dude, I remember watching a YouTube video, and this dude was explaining, if you look at the code for Minecraft, the way the passive mobs spawn is on the highest grass gets priority. And I remember making like a stairway of dirt up to the sky and making a big platform up in the sky. So grass would like grow up the stairway and be up there, and then
so you could get your monsters to do what you want. But
then I hoed my entire island, so the only grass on my island. And then I was like a YouTuber was like, dude, like I remember watching Ethos Lab, who my friend describes Ethos Lab as your favorite Minecraft YouTuber.
Like, is that still a scene?
Yeah, like a little bit. It became one.
Like Minecraft YouTubers was like a whole thing for a long time. Like Minecraft YouTubers, Minecraft parody songs.
Yeah, like thanks to like PewDiePie playing it again. I think in large part, like Danny Gonzalez is like playing it some.
Oh, I forgot he was doing that. Yeah,
like there's like it's people are playing Minecraft again and like making videos about it, which is fun. Yeah. But like, I remember Ethos Lab explaining all of the mobs have different pathfinding and stuff like that. And, like, working on ways of, like, sorting mobs through a mob system. And, like, I remember being like, I can figure...
Like, building redstone farms, like, digging into the deep... I mean, you're programming computers in this game.
Just making... And just the ability to make... Like, whatever you... Like, I remember, like, the first time you make, like, a castle that you're like, oh, this is cool. Like, dude, Minecraft rules so hard.
Well, dude, I remember, like, wanting... Like, we would go somewhere, and it'd be, like, our cousins or, like, our brothers-in-law, and we just, like, hey, we're gonna make a castle this weekend, and we just freaking dig forever and make a castle that weekend.
Yeah, dude.
Like, we get together, that's what we did.
Minecraft rules so hard, and the amount of time I put in that game is insane, dude. It feels weird to me. Like, Minecraft, I feel like you're probably at this point with WoW at some point. Minecraft, playing, like, now with Danny, feels so familiar that it's, like, confusing to me that she doesn't understand certain things about the game. Like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, the fact that she's like, so, like, how do I make, like, this? Like, it'll be, like, a thing, and be like, oh, you don't just know how to make every single item in the game off the top of your head? Like that. Yeah. Like, so much stuff in that game's just drilled into my head. I'll check out now and then. Like, I'll check out and not play till a few updates go by and log back in and play more. I love that game so much, dude. The infinite creativity, just the ability to build whatever you want.
It was a great game. It still is a great game, I guess. Dude. Like, once my kids figure out the controls, I only anticipate them, like, loving it even more. Yeah, they already have a fun time. They already think it's cool because, like, I know how to build certain things, or like we find a new area, or they see an animal, or...
I remember talking to friends about, like, if you could have the first experience, or relive the first experience of a thing in a game, finding my first monster spawner in Minecraft and not knowing what it was, and like...
Does this look like a cage block or something?
Yeah, dude, but like and it's the only place, at least in that time, it might have changed, that you could find, like, mossy cobblestone. So, like, those are the only place at the time you could find chests that you didn't make. Yeah. So, like, you stumble in this thing in a cave, and there's freaking mossy cobble. There's, like, this thing, and monsters are pouring out of it. Dude, like, the excitement and, like, confusion and, like, terror. I was in Ohio. I was in Ohio on Mom's janky laptop that we had to buy, like, those under fans for because it kept overheating because it should be running Minecraft. I remember sitting there, and it was always so hot in our grandpa's house, dude. I remember sitting there and, like, already sweating, and then I found this thing, and I remember, like, just dude, I feel like it's more than I ever sweat playing a game in my whole life. was like, I didn't know what it was. At the time, Minecraft was way harder, and you couldn't stack food. So, like, it was revisiting that for the first time, just, like, that, like, feeling it would be so fun.
Yeah.
Just be like, I don't know what this is. Is it this thing that I love and thought I knew everything about? Dude.
That's cool, man.
I love Minecraft so
I
much.
love to hear that. I like.
Was there any other games, I'm trying to think, that were like monumental to me?
I think you got into Rocket League for a little bit.
Oh, dude, I was good at Rocket League was one of the only video games I was good at. Like, I was ranked in Rocket League for a while.
Like,
Rocket
I feel
League
like
I played a ton of.
You had the disadvantage of being like the person that just played the games that I had for a long time. But I had a lot of moments like of playing cooperative games with you,
dude.
Whether it's something stupid like Minecraft or Diablo or whatever, or Rising Sun we talked about.
The most fun I feel like I've ever had playing video games. Probably us playing different games. Dude, do you remember how bad our TV was?
No.
We had like an old like tube TV that was like the regular like, I don't know. How big was like old TVs?
I don't know.
Like I remember, and you would like try to read dialogue on it because we couldn't have swearing, dude.
Yeah.
Or just like even if
we played Gears of War together for the first time.
That's on that true. TV, dude.
Okay.
Like we played Gears together. But like yeah, any game that I couldn't like that was too old for me, which I feel like is in some ways a lot of positive memories, but in some ways a disadvantage as a gamer. As much as people talk about Mass Effect being a great game, you care less to play through Mass Effect if you know it's going to be really hard, but you just watch the entire story, and then like a year later, like, oh, I'd probably be able to figure this out, but like I already know what happens.
Yeah.
Like I watched through any game that I wasn't allowed to. Very few games were I not allowed to play because mom and dad knew not like so little about games. I think they just trusted you, and your general rule was if I couldn't figure it out, I could at least watch you play.
Yeah, it eventually, once I was older, they sort of just let me play what I felt like I wanted to play. But when we were younger, it was harder.
Yeah, because like we only. Do you remember like also how like important like in our friend group it was how important it was to be good at Smash?
Smash was a comedy. See, here's the thing. Like, even though we technically like you hung around with me and my friends a lot too, but I feel like there was still a lot of things that you might have just not remembered or not been part of because you were younger. Because like there was we did play a lot of Smash, but also like there was a massive Battlefront phase, like Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2.
We played a
where
lot of
that's all of my friends that I played was Battlefront 1 and 2.
Do you remember how many Halo parties you would go to?
I went to a lot of Halo parties. Went to I don't want to like interrupt this moment, and I also don't want to start like with my like background of games because it would take a long time. But like for me, games were just something that were always around. I probably was cemented into them because I was an only child for a while, and I lived in a foreign country where I didn't have a lot of friends.
You didn't speak the language.
And so then I played a lot of video games with like dad, or like watched him play baseball on the NES.
But I think like my most memorable times of playing games are probably all mostly with you. Like,
do you remember the transition point to where you would just like get immersed into games and they were no longer like you were playing a thing? It was like you were in the thing. Like for instance, I'll watch my son and he plays Minecraft, or he plays my son is scared very easily. Let's say he's playing Mario Kart 8 and there's a course where there's a giant flaming Bowser who punches the course, or there's a thwomp on the course or something. My son freaks out and he runs out of the room because he's scared of this thing.
Which is hilarious.
It will always be hilarious.
So fun. Just the idea of running away from a video game is so funny, dude.
But here's the thing. I'm actually going to make the argument that it makes sense. If you were scared of something in real life, you should leave it. If I'm scared of a dog, I don't go near the dog. Yeah. At what point did you have the crossover moment where you were playing a video game and something in the video game scared you and you ran away in the video game instead of running in real life because you didn't make that connection anymore? You had lost that separation. I don't remember for myself, but I know it happens all the time.
I remember the jump scare in BioShock Infinite. I remember like a legitimate thought of being like, I need to have good accuracy because my life depends on this. Which is so funny because it's even a hologram. Like it's literally just to scare you. It doesn't do anything. Yeah. But like I remember thinking like there was like a brief like life or death situation that I felt like I had to perform under. And like not even like Marc is playing this video game am in a life or death situation, I need to perform. Like me, Booker DeWitt needs to perform right now or I'm gonna die. I remember that.
I feel like that is the moment, the immersion of video games, and not everybody experiences it at the same level, but like for me, imagination is like such a big part of like what I value in everything, that like the ability for video games to immerse me happened very early on. That's the feeling whenever there's like two mindsets. It's like, are you going to be the gamer like enthusiast who's a jerk and you're like a gatekeeper? Are you going to do your best to try to explain to everybody?
Got him.
Are you going to do your best to try to get everybody in the world to understand what about gaming is amazing? I want to be able to get somebody and watch somebody get to the point where they hit that first step of immersion, where something happens in a game and they don't think about being in their chair. They're thinking about being in the game. And for me, my walls have dissolved so long ago. Like as being a person that's played video games since I was 2 years old, I don't find it very hard to be in a game and then be in a game. I absolutely just love the idea of being able to get people for the first time to have that experience where they're playing something and they forget they're playing something because they're that into it. And then they have something scare them or they have something affect them. It makes them cry, makes them laugh, makes them jump, makes them scream, whatever it is, because the power of games to have that level of interactivity is the thing that probably tangentially unites everybody that's been playing games for any significant amount of time. And that's why I love to hear different people's stories. Go ahead.
I feel like games, because there is just like an immersion of like, I'm this dude, are the easiest to get me to cry, personally.
Yeah, it depends. I've cried more with probably books than anything.
Okay,
maybe movies.
Let me rephrase that. I've cried in every Stormlight book, whether it's like good cry or sad cry.
Yeah.
Probably a few times.
I've had some games full on made me ugly cry. Like
dude, but like there are, and it's so, dude, we both cried in freaking Gears of War.
Yeah.
We both cried in Gears of War.
I think we cried in Gears of War. It was emotionally manipulative. I think we cried in Gears of War because Gears was a thing that we did together. And
they killed me.
Because the story in Gears of War is admittedly the worst and dumbest and least important part of the game.
Yeah, and I think they understand that.
But I think that what happened was we treated Gears of War as, there was a period of our life where we didn't hang out as much, and Gears of War and Halo were kind of the things where it's like, oh, let's get together and beat the co-op real quick. And we beat the co-op in Gears of War, we beat the co-op in Halo.
And there's a moment where when Dom died, dude.
When Dom died, it was a moment that I think was more about our relationship than anything in Gears of War.
I think also because it is a game, and even though a lot of time it's scripted, like there's like this thing where it feels like you feel extra powerless because like in so much of the game you are in control. You're like, I feel like I should be able to stop this, and I can't. And it makes me sad.
Video games have the opportunity to be able to use that. I've seen some games use that to great effect. I think that I said this in a video that I have not posted yet. It's sitting on my hard drive. I think that video games have this untapped potential. Still, we've barely scratched the surface on what emotional levels video games can reach because of that level of interactivity, because of the way that you have to interface with them. You control part of it, but they create it. And like, there's this push and pull between the guy making the game and the person playing the game. It has so much power, and we've only seen the beginning. And I'm so excited about video games in a way that I don't want to just poop on everything else. Because like I said, I love video games. I love books. I love all these things. Books have existed for as long as humans have had writing. And we've seen amazing ways that books can be used. There's still cool ways that books have not yet been explored. But dang, games are young, man. We got a lot of time to explore what we could do in video games. So I love that stuff. I love hearing people's personal video game stories and the way that they relate with this stuff. I would love to, in the future, if we have like lower, like if we have hosts out, I'd love to have other people come in and just talk to them and try to Joe Rogan some stories out of them of like, hey, tell me about your experience with video games. Why do you love video games? What was your history? We've never sat down and actually talked about this because like, yeah, we grew up together, but I was curious what your view on this stuff would be because you would obviously still have a different perspective than me, even though I was still technically there.
Yeah, dude. And my perspective is, of course, that video games make me cry.
I mean, your perspective is that you think the Lego games are worth something, and I hate that franchise even.
Dude, I don't. Here's my thing now. There's no stakes to that. Like, they're not fun as an adult.
That's why I think they're bad children's games, because they teach you nothing.
Oh, dude. I went through a very long Meat Boy phase. Meat Boy was like my game. It's like my version of Dark Souls, I think. Like, of how much you love Dark Souls and like how it taught you to play the game.
Yeah.
Meat Boy was like, I think Meat Boy did more for my anger management than any game ever.
Meat Boy might have had me express more anger at a video game than I rarely do.
Dude, so you know me. You're my brother. You know me. I am my father.
You have occasional temper flares.
Less so now, which I'm very happy about, dude. Like, I remember playing... What was that dumb... It was like Battlefront, but Lord of the Rings.
I barely played that game. I don't remember.
I played a lot of that game, and I remember, dude, just freaking out at the... Is Helm's Deep the one where you first see the elephants, right?
No, but I don't know what it's called.
Whenever you first see like, I got to that part in the game, and I couldn't do it, dude. I remember flipping out, dude. Like, I remember, like, the level of flipping out that, like, you now see are those staged YouTube videos of that kid, like, I lost my World of Warcraft account. Yeah. Like that level of flipping out. Just losing my mind, dude. And I remember playing Meat Boy. And, like, I watched you play it a bunch, and I was like, it's just a platformer. I can do that. And I got it on Steam. And I remember dying, and, like, being like, okay, it's part of the game, and then, like, getting mad, and, like, I broke my like, my USB controller on Meat Boy, because I threw it. And I remember having to buy another one, and I remember, like, being on the verge of, like, those, dude, just freaking out. And it'd be, like, those levels where you spawn in the way of, like, a buzzsaw that'll kill you.
Yeah.
So, like, I had to, like, force back, be like, I can't freak out. Like, I can't I'm just gonna die again and get more, like, and the reward system of Meat Boy, like, allowing you to see your success at the end of the level, and, like, just, like, learning that stuff can be hard. Like, it was, like, a real
just in case you don't know, and you're listening to this podcast, Super Meat Boy is an insanely difficult, very, like, low graphics indie platformer, but it's super, super hard. But the thing that happens at the end of the level is it shows you a video of all of your attempts at the same time. So there'll be, like, you know, and I'm not exaggerating when I say hundreds of Meat Boys running through the screen at the same time, and they show you, like, if you die, that person just blows up, and then it will show you all of them synonymous or at this simultaneously with the final run. So you can see all the versions of you dying and then the final one of you of winning.
Dude, and I like, more so than anything else in life, like, the idea of perseverance and being like, no, like, perseverance and also personal responsibility of being like, no, this thing happened because I didn't do it good, or I didn't do, like, it right, and it's not going to work out till I do it right, and I'm going to have to do it right, and it's going to be really hard. I'm going to have to throw my head against this wall over and over and over. But also the idea that, like, no, sometimes you can get the wall, like, sometimes you can hit your head against the wall and it breaks. Like, you can't do that. It can't happen. Meat Boy is a game I will, like, just as far as the life lesson that Meat Boy taught me is, like, one of the most valuable life lessons that I will praise until, like, dude, that game rules so hard. I love that game so much.
I was having a conversation with my wife, actually, about this topic the other day. I was like, video games are ultimately, in the grand scheme of everything that goes on in life, not the most important thing.
Oh, no.
But frick, I believe that there are ways that they could be used, both, like, edutainment games, which I learned a lot from, and
the idea. I played the heck out of that.
The risk and reward, like, I do genuinely believe that maybe video games did not teach me some of these good values, like perseverance and working hard. You know, my parents taught that. I was reinforced so many places. But video games were the practical application of so many of the things that I learned, which is like, hey, you get beat down, you get back up again, you try again. Why do we fall, Bruce? Like, the amount of
It's
times
Rocky. It doesn't matter how hard you can get hit. It matters how hard you can get hit and keep going. Like it's Rocky.
Yeah, this is like, and this sounds so corny, unless you've experienced it yourself.
Yeah, dude.
The way that in real life I've had work problems come up, even recently, dude. I'm coming off, I was up 24 hours yesterday because I was working. The way that sometimes video games have deeply instilled into my brain, like, nobody else is going to freaking fix this. You just got to do it. And then you do it because it's what you've taught yourself to do.
You have to be good enough.
Like,
and sometimes
maybe you fail,
not,
but you got to learn.
Dude, the number of times I was at my previous job, like working like a 16-hour day, like driving home from Sioux City, and being like, dude, this is just freaking Super Meat Boy. I'm gonna get through. Like, dude,
the number of times that I have been at work and something's really crappy. I work a job where it's a small company, and a lot of times if I can't figure something out, I can't escalate it. So the amount of times that I have had to look at a work problem and not, bash my head against it and just be like, the buck stops here.
Yeah,
either I figure it out.
Last guy.
Yeah, I have to figure it out. There is literally no other option. I have to attribute some of that to the amount of times I've played stupid video games and be like, I'm not gonna let this game beat me. It's a freaking video game. Of course I can win.
I can't. And it's also, as much as like I think some people get mad at, maybe not, like the culture of video games. It's like, hey, like, unless it's a bad video game, it provides you with all of the tools you need. You're the like, if you're not succeeding, you're the problem. Like,
yeah, if it's a good game, yes.
Do better. Like, do better.
Yeah.
Like, Meat Boy, great. I hit that buzzsaw because I jumped too late. And sometimes in Meat Boy, I jumped literally a frame too late. And that's what it takes. Like, yep, you jumped a frame too late. And every time you do that, you're going to hit that buzzsaw again. So maybe
but every time you beat it and you go, hey, I got better. And I did it.
And dude, and you see all of your failures, but you see this, like, you'd be like, look, this one makes it to the end. I've also died so many times that, dude, there's nothing more discouraging than dying too many times that like there's too many Meat Boys and the game glitches out. It makes you feel like such a putz, dude. You get so mad, dude.
I can honestly say, and this is just not a flex, I've never broken the game from deaths.
Never broke, dude.
I have beat Super Meat Boy, but I have not broken the game from deaths.
That game rules so hard. I love Meat Boy.
I also love Super Meat Boy. I think it's an amazing game. I think that, yes, if I were going to design a master class in how to use video games and teach people like life skills, I would use Super Meat Boy for sure.
I cannot. I love that game so much. Like that, I feel like at the same time in my life that it was like that game, and we already talked about it, BioShock Infinite. And like I played those at like the same time. And those games are like games. Meat Boy's even older than BioShock, but like they're so.
Meat Boy goes back to closer to the beginning of the indie game revolution, which I remember. Dude, that was such a great time, man. Now, which is weird, because now we live in a time where amazing indie games are coming out all the time and people are missing them because there's too many.
Yeah, there's
and I'm
too
like,
many good games.
Yeah, I'm remembering this time. It's like, dude, we get 5 indie games this summer and they're going to be dope. It's like, dude, we get indie games every day now. I mean, like, I want to say that Meat Boy was around the time that like Limbo came out, which like that was a big tentpole release for a lot of people.
Or was Hotline later?
Hotline might have been like Hotline was a PC game, so it wasn't like the games I was thinking about was the Summer of Arcade Xbox releases, but Hotline Miami was an earlier like PC indie game release. Hotline Miami
it also rules.
I could probably talk for an hour about Hotline Miami,
dude. I recently, like since I've been married, finally bought 2 for the Switch and played it.
Did you beat it?
Yeah.
Did you get frustrated at the levels where you can die from off screen? Because that 2 was not as perfect as 1.
Yeah, but Hotline Miami 1 is a game I have it also. I bought them both in a pack on the Switch.
Yeah.
I will still like load up Hotline and play it. It's so fun. I love that game.
Hotline Miami is a frick. We don't have time to jump into this. I'll just say
it's so good. So go ahead. Yeah.
I'll just briefly say Hotline Miami is a game that on its surface, it just appears to be a really violent, over-the-top, third-person beat-em-up almost, shooter, whatever.
Yeah, like twin stick. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
That game is art in a way that people would not believe probably if they just saw the trailer. That game is very art. It says so many things. It makes me feel so many things. It accomplishes so many things.
In a world where so many games are about killing, none of them have ever made me feel a fraction of how gross you feel playing Hotline.
Hotline Miami 2 made me feel sick to my stomach and disgusted in a way that no video game has ever made me feel in my life. And the fact that the meta commentary of Hotline Miami starts off with the fever dream of your character freaking tripping balls, and it literally starts off with a character that says, "Do you enjoy hurting people?" And of course, like, in real life, you're just like looking at this game, you're like, what the heck is going on? No, I don't enjoy hurting people. Then you play this ridiculously violent video game, and every level forces you to walk back through the carnage, and you're like, I'm horrible. Like, it's so gross. Oh, I love Hotline Miami.
It's so good. Yeah, we should talk about Hotline for like a whole episode. That game's so good.
We'll get Alan to play Hotline Miami, see if it affects him the same way.
It has an okay story. It's interesting.
Yeah, I just don't know if it'd be his. I don't know, dude. There's so many video games I could talk about. We're going to wrap up this episode. I think this has been a lot of fun. This was a fun journey for me to go through memory lane with you. I want to be able to sit down and have this conversation with Alan. I want to have this conversation with Andrew. I've got lots of friends outside of just this regular show that I'd love to have it on for an episode and just be like, hey, tell me about how games helped you. What do they mean to you? What did you feel like? Did you ever have a seminal moment with a certain franchise or whatever? Like, I love finding this stuff because this is the stuff that I think can be used to encourage people to get into games, when sometimes you just like, you imagine games as being Call of Duty and people shouting racial epithets over bad voice chat, when it could be so much more. It could be screw Roger Ebert's whole video games are not art bull crap. Like, there's so much more to be said about video games. And
dude,
if we didn't
have video games, we would have never gotten Aaron Stone.
Why would you take such an awesome, heartfelt buildup of a moment and ruin it with a joke that is so bad?
Dude.
Why would you do this?
Dude, I'm trying to get my generation, dude.
Are you going to try to get me to yell at like you, like the way that I yell at Alan? Like, I love hearing, if you ever want to like see me do some kind of weird flip switch, have me like just be talking to me casually and mention that you're not a gamer, but you find video games interesting and you'd like to know more. That's when I pop in. I'm like, oh, really? Let me talk to you about this video game. Like, what do you like? Yeah, like, dude, this is the kind of stuff I love to get into. So thank you guys for listening. If you would like to engage with us in any of the conversations that we had so far, you can email us at pressextrarevolution@gmail.com, or you can obviously comment on the video down below. If you like this video, please give it a like. This is also a podcast. It's an audio form podcast available on a lot of platforms. If you are using a platform that allows you to rate it 5 stars, leave a review, please do so, because that's how you build traction. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, if that's something that you're into. Would you like to hear more of these conversations in the future? Did any of this resonate with you? If you know someone specifically, especially if you know that I know them, and you would like me to have them on the show, please let me know in the comments down below or in an email. If there's corrections for anything that we messed up, please correct us. We could get that wrong.
We just get an email at somebody being like, actually, Super Meat Boy sucks. That's no correction.
I mean,
that'd be so funny, dude.
People can have wrong opinions too.
Hotline Miami's a garbage game. You guys are dumb.
Next episode, we have already slated to be a combination episode where we talk about the pros and cons of open world video games. And also, it's an episode where we are trying to gather a collection of story-focused PlayStation games, preferably indie games, that we can recommend to Alan because he doesn't believe that story-focused games still exist. He was mostly talking about RPGs. I made the bold claim that there are lots of indie games that are story-focused that he should play. We're going to collect a list. We want to make that next week. Email us your suggestions. Leave comments. That's a great example.
Is it on the PlayStation, though?
I don't know. But we're looking for PlayStation-specific games. He has a PlayStation 5. So let's find those lists. Leave a comment. Email us. Hit us up on Twitter, whatever it is. We're going to be making a list of games to talk about with Alan. I'll look up any games that people send. I do know a lot of video games, so I'm going to be making my own list as well. And I think that'll be fun. Additionally, if you have anything that you want to add potentially to this open world discussion that I want to have next week, but the pros and cons of open world games, I think that could be a really interesting conversation because I do think we will get some good dialogue because Alan will have a strong opinion. I have a strong opinion that actually differs pretty heavily with Andrew's, or at least it did back when we used to talk about it a lot more on podcasts. And so I think we could get some really good discussion there about the actual pros and cons from people that both enjoy them and want to enjoy them more. And I think it's going to turn into an interesting episode. I am very excited because there's things I want to talk about. Yes. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Marc, you want to tell the people where people can find you outside of this episode?
You can find me on Instagram at AfroThunda97. And you can find me, I have a YouTube channel called michaeknipp, where I'm hoping to post one video this month at the end of it.
Nice. Outside of this podcast, I also have a channel on YouTube where I talk about books. I review books. I also sometimes just randomly go off on like storytelling, philosophy, whatever I'm thinking about has to do with books or stories. That's just michaeknipp. Also, you can find me on Twitter at michaeknipp, as well as Instagram at, I believe, michaeknipp. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you again next week. Until next time, press X to revolution. I'll do the Alan. Revolution X!
It's so good.